companies going out of business, found myself going through a divorce, a separation, going through a foreclosure, finding out that my stepfather was ill. He was in the hospital, and I was moving back to help my mom out with the house when she took ill and had a stroke and passed away. And I just said the universe wanted to crush me.
Hey, got something really cool I wanted to run by and let you know what's going on. So I'm starting a group that will start taking a deep dive into each one of these episodes. So we'll collectively come together and talk about the shows, talk about the guests. I'll be bringing back some of the guests to do some Q&A sessions and really take a further dive into their story, their journey, the episode, talk about, maybe some of the things you wish I would have asked on the episodes, do some Q&A sessions and the like. As a friend put it to me, it's really like a book club, but for the podcast. So a couple times a week, we'll go in, we'll break down the favorite shows of the week, and have cool discussions around everything that we've heard, we've learned, and want to know about their journey. Some of these guests will come in and they'll teach part of, what makes them awesome at what they do. And then, as always, I'll be providing regular value and content in this group. It's really cool because this only is going to cost $5 a month to join this group. And you'll be able to come in, interact with everybody else in there. So I'll put a link right in the show notes for this that you can jump in, come have a conversation with us, and we will really deep dive into each one of these episodes and help us all rise up together. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's going to be a great show today. Having the show wasn't something I started out to do. But the day I found out somebody wanted to really sponsor the show was a really, really cool experience. So, guys, I want you to take some time to go check out Point Blank Safety Services and their new nonprofit, Blue Family Fund. These guys are doing some really, really cool things. And Stacy McGovern, who's the CEO over there, has been a dear friend, and she was a guest on the show. But these guys are literally taking, the off-duty officers and putting them out in security guard role. And here's what's cool about it is, as they're protecting our lives, they don't make a whole lot of money in that regard. No first responders are paid for the value they provide for our safety and our health and taking care of us. So these guys, Stacy and her team over at Point Blank Safety Services have really found a cool way to give back to these officers by helping them provide an additional income so they can continue to support and protect us. So do me a favor, guys. Seriously, go check out pointblanksafety.com and then go look at their nonprofit, which is Blue Family Fund. Now, this nonprofit was created because of the success of Point Blank Safety Services. They wanted to give back to the families of fallen officers and be able to give scholarships away to the families of current, police officers. So do me a favor. It would mean the world to me if you would go out and help support this show by supporting Point Blank Safety Services and their nonprofit Blue Family Fund. Just tell them Donnie has sent you. You heard it on Donnie's Success Champions, and Stacy will take a tremendous and amazing care of you. Thanks, guys. All right, guys, so this is going to be a really, really fun episode today. We are going to dance into some realms that some of you are going to look at me like I got two heads when this one gets ready to air. So embrace it, have fun, be open-minded as we go through this. These two are going to take us on a fun adventure and a journey. Have fun with this one, guys. Later. I'm bringing you Miss Uma. I'm going to screw it up. Beepat. Look at that. I think I got it right. And Ron Pritchard, right? Rob, I was close, so it'll be fun. And I'm not editing that shit out because I'd always think it's funny when
who knows?
We'll call him Bob for now.
Don't do that. My mom didn't want to confuse anybody. I'm Ron. Great in both games.
All right. Awesome. Rob and Bob. That's funny. All right. So I don't ever like introducing the guest. I'm going to let you guys tell who you are, what's your story. So, guys, welcome to the show. Tell us your journey.
Awesome. Hi, guys. My name is Uma. I'm the owner of Lotus Wellness Center and Lotus Signature Massage School in Manassas, Virginia. It's a spiritual development center, Lotus Wellness Center, and we provide classes and services in intuitive psychic development.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rob. I'm with the healingfrequency.net. That is .net, not .com. That'll get you out in California. But I'm here in Warrenton, Virginia, and I am really, truly a life coach with an energetic twist. So I do a lot of life coaching with energy work. A lot of miraculous things happen, healings happen, and people feel better after they come to see me. But I also teach a lot of classes, and and I, we travel around the U.S. teaching everything from Reiki to access bars to IET to doing platform mediumship, bringing in your loved ones, but all on an evidential basis. So we're actually going to do platforming where we actually coming up here in Roanoke. In a couple of weeks, we'll be down in Roanoke, Virginia, doing a platform demonstration. But it's all about the evidence. We don't bring in and say, hey, I love you, all this other stuff, until we actually produce evidence that that it's something that we never knew and that they wanted to tell you.
I can see Donnie's about to kill himself right now.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
Who do I have on this show?
Oh, Lordy. Oh, Lordy. All right. So let me guess. When you guys were 3 years old, you both raised your hand and said, I'm going to talk to frickin' spirits.
Pretty much. Exactly. Good one.
Hard to shut them up. There's no tuning button.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys are in oh, my God. You're in the metaphysical realm. You're in the spiritual realm. You're a fucking life coach that's talking to spirits. This should be interesting. I don't want to know what my spirits are saying about me because I'm sure they're still cussing me out at some point. How did you guys really get into this whole game? I mean, how does this all come about? It had to have been a crazy journey, especially going through school and everything else. So walk me through it a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, for my journey, it was just really simple. I was in an unhappy marriage. I was not happy.
So it's his fault.
Oh, no, I'm not married to this one.
No, I'm saying the one you divorced to. It's his fault.
Yeah, let's just do that. Let's just blame it on him. No, he's a great guy. No, but I was unhappy in my marriage. I was unhappy in life. I was that typical 30-something-year-old woman that just was now finding herself. Like a lot of women especially in America, we get told what to do. From our families, our parents, society, you got to do this, you got to go to school, you got to get married, you got to, you got to like have kids and all this other stuff. And then at some point you just wake up and you're like, what am I supposed to do? Like, who am I? And a lot of the women that I work with are at that stage in their life where they're kind of like trying to figure out who they are. And that's what happened to me. It started as a personal journey. It wasn't really I came into this to work or do this kind of stuff. I just wanted to find out why I was so unhappy. And, I was doing all the psychiatric things, like taking drugs and then self-medicating with alcohol and all that good stuff. It just nothing was working. So I took a yoga class. I took meditation. One thing led to another. And the next thing I know, people are asking me for advice and people are asking me for healings or help or reading their tarot cards or whatnot. And then it grew. So that's my story. And I know Rob has his own story too.
I've got my own story. When it came to life coaching, I started off more as an executive sales coach, probably back around 2000 because I've been in sales most of my life, sales management. But my life took a turn that was kind of crazy. I actually owned 2 companies, and I was also a mortgage broker, and the whole economy collapsed, and I found myself with companies going out of business, found myself going through a divorce, a separation, going through a foreclosure, finding out that my stepfather was ill, he was in the hospital, and I was moving back to help my mom out with the house when she took ill and had a stroke and passed away. And I just said the universe wanted to crush me, to rebuild me, make me somebody new. But at my mom's funeral, my sister brought up that there was this woman that wanted to talk to us and give us a message. And she had been working with my mom. And that happened to be Uma. And I told my sister that I would represent the family. And I went in. And my mom, before she had passed, she had talked about this whole Reiki thing. And I've grown up doing martial arts my whole life, so I was very much into energy work. And I went in, saw what Reiki was, and I just stayed. And now I tease everybody that when it comes to energy work, I learned how to use it to break things. Now I use it to heal things.
All right, so let me recap this just for 2 seconds. One, if you want to find what you need to do in life, you obviously need to get a divorce. I mean, that's
done and done.
And then second, if you want to meet your future woman, go to a Reiki class.
I like it. I like your summary really well.
All right, good.
It worked out.
Well, it's 98% women, so you're going to find a woman there.
Well, guys, if you're single and you're no, don't do that. Okay, so this is interesting. For me, seriously, I'm going to make fun of this stuff, and I forewarned you guys, but I've heard of Reiki. What the hell is it? Reiki, whatever. Reiki is the thing you use in your backyard to wake up leaves.
A raker.
A raker,
no. Right. Reiki is just energy work. It's simple. It's, every time we naturally heal ourselves. If you hit your foot, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your hands on it. You're going to say, ow, or you're going to scream.
No, I'm going to scream, oh, shit, first. But
God damn it, and then you're just going to put your hands on it. We naturally know how to self-heal ourselves. And Reiki is a Japanese technique. So this was developed in Japan a long time ago, back in the 1900s, and they were using it, and then it came over to the U.S., and then we started using it and noticing healing. I got some miracle stories. I've worked on 2 people that had masses inside of them, and they went because they would have to have surgery to cut it out, and they went to have the surgery, and it disappeared. And I can say that to you personally. I've seen that with my own eyes.
That's awesome.
Rob has healed tons of people. Like I remember seeing him work at an expo one day, and he laid his hands on this woman's back, and he was only charging like $1 a minute or something like that, and it was like $10, and she paid him like $50 because she said, I don't have pain anymore, and I've had this pain since like 1978 or something, and he just completely removed it with the Reiki healing energy. So we teach everybody, even though people come in to see us for sessions, we teach everybody how to do it. And I love that just this week, I don't know where you're located, but we're in Northern Virginia, and just this week, NBC News ran this whole week a special on Reiki, because now it's becoming this big thing everybody wants to find out about, but it's been around for a while. Yeah.
Well, what's funny is you guys are in Virginia, like hillbilly capital of the world, talking to this. If you guys ever seen the movies Young Guns, yeah, we're in the spirit world, right? That just cracks me up. So, all right. So I've seen a couple of, it's like, I think it was like an episode of Stan Lee, right? There was a guy on there that they actually put heat sensors on his hands, and he was able to push so much energy through his hands. He raised the temperature of his hands to like tremendous degrees. It was insane. I saw another guy, literally, he was bending metal with his mind in his hand. They had X-ray machines and all kinds of stuff around him to show that, there was no way there was any contraption. It was insane.
We do another thing called access bars. And if you go on YouTube, for everybody who's listening and is interested, there's a video on access bars with, I believe the neurosurgeon was Dr. Jeffrey Katz, but he put like sensors on someone's head before they had a session and then after, and the whole brain was lit up. It's like parts of your brain were being used that was not used before. So all of the stuff that we do, it sounds real like woo-woo and shit, but it's not. It's like, it's actually scientifically proven what we're doing.
Well, and that's the crazy thing. So how often do you guys tell people what to do and they go, get the hell out of here?
Yeah. Rob likes those people.
Even when we're teaching classes, we're telling people, hey, this is all about your self-work. You can come in, you can get the brain candy, you can get the knowledge, you can go out there and sound like a scholar. But really, if you're not sitting down and doing the work and learning how to work with the energy, nothing's really going to come out. You're just going to sound like a professor.
And we come from it from like a scientific point of view in what we do. We use quantum physics. We reference a lot of scientific material. Rob was just invited down to Charleston to teach at the Salt Cave. And one of the women asked, does God approve of this? And that's usually, it's not so much that it's whack or woo-woo. A lot of times what we come across is people who want to know, what does God feel about this, or the church, because we also taught in Louisiana, remember, Rob? Yeah. And Louisiana is like real redneck country out there. It was like crazy. I felt real weird out there.
Oh, shoot.
You were definitely out of place, darling.
I mean, when you go on a plane and everybody's wearing camo, you start to worry a little bit. Just a little bit. I thought the plane was going to be camo too. But it was really cool. The girls were so sweet down there. Nobody in that whole community ever did Reiki, ever heard of it. But this one girl brought me down, And a lot of the questions were about God and Satan and the devil. And I was really amazed. I was like, wow, okay, this is a real thing for people. Yeah.
Wild. I mean, well, everybody's raised in a household of some sort of belief. It's either no belief, a religious belief, whatever, right? You're brought up in some sort of belief. And then as the years go on, you start making choices based on your own interpretation, your own experiences, your own worldviews and everything else. And sometimes people have tragic experiences and they walk away from maybe their faith or their beliefs and everything else because they realize maybe to them that it's complete bullshit, everything they've been taught and raised. But you guys have chose to go down a path that, I mean, out the gate, there's naysayers. I mean, I guess there's naysayers everywhere. But I mean, you guys are in a really tight spot. What experiences in life did you guys get along the way to prepare you to take on this battle with your guys' journey? Because I guarantee you, like Rob said, every day somebody's going bullshit, right?
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, when you give I was a keynote speaker at an event, and immediately when I started talking, it was a business event. Immediately when I started talking, 2 women got up and walked out the room. So, you know, when you do things like that, what prepared me? Hello, I'm East Indian descent and I'm a woman. Like, what? My whole life I've been fighting. Are you kidding me? I mean, people look at me, and if I'm not, you know, second nature because I'm a woman, I'm a terrorist because I'm brown. It's always like, that's been my fight my whole life. So that's what's prepared me.
You know, I just have fun with people. And if they want to challenge me, Uma thought I was totally crazy because right after I came into Reiki and everything, I was taking care of my stepfather who was ill and very Catholic. And, you know, he was kind of like, don't lay hands on me. You can say prayers for me. Don't lay hands on me. And, you know, I walked up to the father that was coming into the house every Friday. I said, hey, you know, I do Reiki. He goes, that's nice. That's good. And from that point on, I went out and just sat down with whether it be priests, whether it be pastors or
now, come on, Rob. Tell the whole story. Rob likes a challenge. Let me tell you this right now. To all y'all listening, he's the guy, like, he goes to bars.
Right. So he's not the guy that's trying to practice. He's trying to convert.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm an evangelist.
He'll go to bars, and he'll start laying hands on people in bars. And I'm like, oh, Lord, you know.
Okay.
You know, you might be careful about laying hands on people in bars. That might go south real quick, brother.
Okay, so here's a story for you. I was at Bike Week down in Ocean City, and I was at Purple Moose Saloon. And, of course, you know, we teach everybody and tell everybody, don't be doing this while you've been drinking. Well, I am walking out of the bar, and I look over, and I'm like, just suddenly hit a wall. And I was like, my guys start talking to me about this person that's sitting over there on the wall. Granted, these are all bikers, and 2 big bikers, and I thought this guy was a dude. And I looked over at him, and I said, hey, you know, here's what I do. I'm a Reiki master, I'm a medium, and all this other stuff. And I've been told that you've got this going on. And they're just looking at me. These 2 big bikers are looking at me like I've lost my mind. And I'm like, do you mind if I lay hands? And all of a sudden, out of this one big biker dude, a female's voice comes out. You need to ask my husband. And my husband looks at me and says, you know what? Any other day. But you just exactly nailed why we were just in the hospital. So please, lay hands.
But Rob is funny. You know, he's a biker, so he has his leather jacket, and on there it says Reiki Master, and he walks around with essential oils. Like, it's the most hilarious thing. He goes to these, like, events.
If that's not on your website, like, part of your marketing collateral, you know, something's wrong, right? Get that.
I told him, Biker Rob, you know. Or
a friend of mine, his bike broke down a couple of years ago. We were up in West Virginia, and I was pushing his bike back, and I burned my arm on his headlight. And I went over into my bag. I got out some lavender oil, and I put it on my arm. He's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? I'm like, not trying to smell good. I just don't want to. I don't want to.
So I get it. So you ride around on a pink bike, too, right?
No, it's actually teal. Teal and sandstone. Not a white black.
This is the funniest thing. He's like the roughest looking biker out there, and then he pulls out his little stack of essential oils. And by the way, for those of you who are listening, lavender essential oil is very good for burns. So
I just got pictures of Rob in his big biker jacket drinking a beer with his pinky up. I'm just saying.
You know what? It works.
Wow, that's crazy. So, Uma, I know you've got a ton of accreditations. I think I read something like 35.
Yeah.
what the hell do you have 35 in? I mean, there's only so many things you can learn in there.
You would think. I am like
Or you're just a glutton for education.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, I'll tell you why I did it. I'm really not a glutton for anything besides sex, but, you know, we both are hypnotists. We both are life coaches. We're both Reiki healers, theta healers, access bars practitioners, back flower practitioners. That's like, there's tons of things. But you see, when someone comes to me, it's like, I'm like a surgeon. Okay. I got to know everything. So if you, Donnie, if you came to me and you're like, I got this problem, I can't just always go to the Reiki. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
if I came to you and said I got a problem, we're going to be sitting for the next 20 years with me. Just saying.
I'll take your money. I'll take your money. Yeah, and we have to know, like, different techniques and tools. Like, if somebody's coming to me and they have mental limitations, they're blocked in their thoughts, Rob and I will do access bars. If they're coming to me with deep emotional wounds, you know, like sometimes we get people that have been, you know, sexually abused or, you know, problems of that nature, we would do something like IET, integrated energy therapy. Sometimes people want to remember things from the past. We will do hypnosis. You see what I'm saying? So like we have to have different tools to really be called the healers, the master healers in our area, and not just have that one thing to go to. And remember, this work is really intimate and personal. So a lot of people that are coming in, they're having these big emotional releases, things like I have big grown men, like Rob talked about the biker. I have big grown men crying, sobbing on the table because they can't anywhere else. Where can a man go and let out how he really feels about his mother-in-law or his wife or people that have done things to him, you know, over and over again. So you got to have that knowledge and that experience of how to deal with stuff like that. You can't freak out. You know, when people are having a big emotional release, you can't be like freaking out all over the place. You got to know how to hold it together. Yeah, so that's what those certifications deal with.
No, I get it. I love it. I had a Marine buddy on from California, and I don't interview a whole lot of people from California because they smoke a lot of weed over there. But Robert was, you know, he was a combat Marine, struggled with PTSD tremendously, went through a lot of shit, was dealing with his demons, and he stumbled across a yoga studio that did meditation and everything else. And now I'm going to screw this up, but he does a lot of healing with the singing bowls. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. Okay. Bowls, yes.
Okay. So he does that, and, you know, he no longer has PTSD. Now he'll tell you he smokes weed, you know, along with the ride, but he's actually teaching other veterans to deal with their PTSD through yoga, meditation, whatever the hell these bowls are that I made fun of him on when he was on my show, you know, all the way through the process. But are you guys targeting the veteran community to help them, you know, with it? Because what the government is doing is bullshit. It's just not working. I mean, that's
my uncle is a former Marine. My ex-husband is a former Marine, and I have to say it that way because I know you're never an ex-Marine. He's a former Marine. I get it. And my uncle sent me one of his buddies that lives, because my uncle doesn't live here. He lives in Jersey, and my uncle's friend lived down in Richmond, which is far from me, but he called me, and I did a comp because I understand the nature of this, and I understand that it's very deep. And it was really cool. We got to heal a lot of things for that man in that one conversation, and he was trying to reach out to Social Security Administration to find a way for, because they can get treatment if it's covered, right? And my center, of course, it's not covered because it's out there, but he was really trying to, I have to talk to him to get this kind of stuff to be covered because he's like, it's so helpful and people just don't realize how helpful it is. Now, Rob has a special place in his heart for veterans and PTSD.
Absolutely. I actually, for a long time, I was fighting. It seemed like a lot of the military bases, when it came to Reiki, they would allow us to come in and work with substance abuse, but they would not allow us to come in and work with PTSD.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of work with Reiki with PTSD, and one of the times that really struck me, I was working with a doctor friend of mine, and he pulled me aside. He said, look, Rob, I've got this guy coming in. He's got PTSD. I want you to know his buddies have paid for this appointment for him because he is really bad off. And he came in, and we talked for a minute, and then I did Reiki with him for a little over an hour. And just the things I was picking up, I was a little worried about how he was going to get up off the table. And, you know, I could see and I could feel everything that he was going through. And this guy got up, big burly guy, got up with tears in his eyes, gave me a hug, and said, thank you. And to me, that just, it stopped my heart. It was just like, wow, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
And another thing that I've started working with is something called energy psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And energy psychology is something that really, truly, they fought with the APA, and they've now been accepted, last I heard, with the APA. And it's really great with dealing with PTSD and trauma. It takes a combination of tapping, which is a modality, as well as EMDR, which is about eye movement, and neuro-linguistic programming. And it's just amazing what you can do in a couple minutes with this modality to help really shift somebody's energy and get away from the physiological effects that are coming from the memory.
We always tell people there's help out there, you know, and like really and truly, Donnie, I can't thank you enough for this opportunity, because really what we want is for whoever's listening to this podcast, just give it a try. Wherever you are, just find a Reiki healer, find an energy practitioner, and just give it a try.
Well, I think Rob said it best, though, because if you go back to his story, there's a really, really key part to dealing with veterans, is the veteran never raises their hand. That dude's buddies got together and paid for his doctor's visits, right? And so I would tell you is, instead of targeting the people dealing with PTSD, target the friend of the friend. Right? And start telling the story. Hey, do you have a buddy? Do you have a friend that is battling their demons and just can't get past them? Maybe you should get them to talk to us, because, dude, when you go in the military, they pump you through full of so much shit you think you're invincible, and you never take that barrier down. You never share with people. I mean, that's what I enjoy about being on stage and doing the public speaking I do, because me getting raw and real and telling my story on stage helps open other people up to do the same thing. But I speak in front of rooms of veterans, and it's a whole different level of conversation, and they're just not willing to open up like that. So you got to talk to the friends and say, hey, get your buddies to take a look at this, but you're going to have to get the friend to start first so he can convince the buddy that y'all ain't batshit crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
true, because that's how my uncle's friend came to me. It's through my uncle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Yep. 100%. So tell me a little bit about this company you have and this, I don't know, is it a university? It's a school? Is it, you know, a little cabin in the woods that you trick little kids to come over and eat candy? What is it?
Right. Okay, so I own two. I own Lotus Wellness Center. It's in Manassas, Virginia. It's where we provide
Where the
classes.
hell is Manassas?
It's up your ass. No.
Remember a little thing in the Civil War called the Battle of Manassas, or Bull Run?
I've heard of Bull Run, I think, but I'm not a
There you go. That's Manassas.
That's where
Dude, I
Manassas.
made it through high school because teachers were like, I don't want this fucking dude back, so.
You know what? You know
About
what?
23 miles outside of D.C.
No, you know how most people are going to remember Manassas? Lorena Bobbitt. That's how
Okay.
Manassas.
So penis on the side of the road. Got it.
That was here. Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome to my hometown. So in Manassas, where that happened, we also have healing services.
This is going to be horrible. Rob, you didn't lay hands, dude, when that happened, dude. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Nothing. We were not there. It wasn't us. And I own Lotus Wellness Center, which I teach classes at, and I provide services. And a lot of times people, you know, they come for different things. They come for a tarot card reading. They come for a healing. They come for life coaching. Really and truly, whoever it is that's out there that need help in any kind of way where they can't find help in terms of the Western medicine and they're feeling for something different, then that's what my center is. And I also own Lotus Signature Massage School. We are a 525-hour certified school in the state of Virginia. So for anybody who wants to become a massage therapist, this is an actual legit school, like not a cabin in the woods, like Don is trying to say. It's a school that conforms to state and federal guidelines for taking your education to become a massage therapist.
Okay,
and
hold on, before Rob goes, because I was good with this whole conversation. This is the second time you brought up tarot cards. All right, this is where I go, shit's just going south on me. So here's my experience with tarot cards, right?
Yeah.
Is I'm at a Renaissance fair. There's my first problem. But I'm at a Renaissance fair, and a guy that I'm out there with, he's like, dude, we should go do tarot cards. I'm like, I'm not sitting and listening to this dumb broad try and flip cards at me. And he goes, I'll pay for it. I'm like, fine, I'll go in. Dude, that was the most bullshit, stupid thing I've ever done. This broad flipped a card over, and she would look, and she was trying to prompt me to say something, right, trying to get me to talk. And I'm like, you tell me. You're the one flipping a card. She goes, well, I see this. I think this. I said, yeah, no, that's nothing. And you could tell she was a good salesperson because, Rob, you and I share. I was a sales trainer. I spent 19 years in sales. That's my background, right? And, you know, in sales, ask the questions, get them talking. They'll tell you everything you want to know. And so I just sat back. I'm like, okay, you're a tarot person. Read me. And then I just started feeding her bullshit. Now this was just me having fun at this point. Man, I mean, she was, you know, flipping cards and this means this. And it was all just made up shit because I was just feeding her made up shit. Yeah. Right? You know, so you could tell this was a complete scam. Right. They were getting people to come into their tents, spend, I don't know what it was, like $20 for a tarot reading or whatever. And, you know, my buddy walked out of his and he was sitting with a different lady and he's like, that's the greatest thing ever. She found my life story. I'm like, who did most of the talking? He's like, oh, I told her everything. I'm like, well, no shit. Right. You tell them and they're going to feed you back everything you tell them. So
let me address that. You know, tarot card, it's a profession like any other profession. So you can have a bum doctor or you can have a great doctor. You could have the worst experience buying a car, or you could have the best experience buying a car. And the same thing with tarot. It's depending on who you go to. So you always say if you had a bad experience, then unfortunately that person, I don't think that I don't know. These days I tend to wear rose-colored glasses, and I don't feel that people are intentionally out to get you. I do feel, though, that there's a lot of people that will take a weekend class and then throw up a certificate and say, I'm now a tarot card reader. And they don't know what they're reading or they don't know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I had the same experience with acupuncture. I went to do now, I will say on the acupuncture, it's probably more likely my skepticism that didn't allow it to do what it was supposed to do. But I went in to try because I'm a veteran, so my body's beat to shit. So I went in there and was trying out acupuncture, and it did nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing other than – and she did the cups too, you know, you do like the smoking cups and it leaves a big round circles on it.
Right, cupping.
Cupping, yeah, that thing.
It's cool. I'm really glad that you're addressing this because like when Rob had said earlier in the beginning how we do platform mediumship, we are mediums and we go to England once a year and we train at the Archer Finley College and we also have private tutors that we train with. We have gifts. Like you asked us about 3 years old. Did we know we were going to do this? No. Rob said they were talking to us since we were 3 years old. It's one of those things that we don't consider it a gift. It's a natural part of life. Like how it's natural for them to wake up and brush their teeth. That's just how natural it is. Not a gift. It's just something that we've been doing forever. And what we do, when Rob kept saying in the beginning that we do evidential mediumship, is because it's quite easy for us to get a group of people together and then we say, oh, we have your grandmother here and she sends you love and light. That's easy. But now when I come in and I say, I have your grandmother here on your mother's side and she used to like to make you empanadas. And her name was Julie. And she wore this yellow sweater that she just really loved. We give details. Because why do we give details? We actually have the person here standing talking to us, and we're relaying the details to you as evidence. So we never give a message when we're doing mediumship. We never give a message until we have correctly identified that this is, in fact, your grandmother, and all those details are true. We do a very big talk when we do these demonstrations, because we travel around the U.S., we do demonstrations, and we do a lot of talking before we do the demonstrations because we want people to understand there's nothing scary about this. This is just natural.
So can somebody just sit across from you and you get a reading? I mean, is that how it worked? Because I'm still a little smoke and mirrors with this whole thought process.
Yeah. So when I have people come in for tarot card readings, I tend not to take the skeptics or the people that just want to do it for fun. You know, because sometimes people will try to hire me for a party. I'm not into that.
I would totally do that.
Right, yeah. I help people that actually have real questions. I work with a lot of big businesses, believe it or not, and they make a lot of financial decisions off of the card reading. And that sounds really weird, but you have to understand there's a process to this. So just like, you know, there's a good time to go camping. Don't go camping in the middle of a hurricane, all right? You know, there's a good time to make a financial move.
Unless you're in the Marine Corps and you're embarrassed and you're drinking way too much and the hurricanes are coming through and guys are strapping ponchos to their back and jumping off balconies in 100-mile-an-hour wind to see if they can fly.
I should have probably edited my comment to you, Johnny, because clearly
Right. So, but it makes sense. I mean, because just like you go back to sales, there's people you're going to walk up to that are never going to buy from you no matter what. And there's people you're going to walk up to, they're going to buy it immediately. Sales only happens when that 60% of people that don't know they need you realize they do, right? That's when sales.
I do a lot of screening. When people say they want a tarot card reading from me, I say why. Because if they say, I'm hurting, and I'm like, well, come in for a healing session. Or
Can you tell me what the lottery numbers are? I mean, I've always wanted.
Yeah, I can't. You think? If you think I could know the lottery numbers, I would still be doing this. I'd be out in Hawaii somewhere. I'm telling you, it don't work like that. Right. But and that's another thing too. Like when you really get into this world of metaphysics, there's different people you talk to on the other side, right? So let's just clear this up. If your grandmother's coming through, they don't know the lottery numbers. They literally are just people on the other side. That's it. They just don't have a body anymore. So they know just as much as you know. So if I have your grandmother coming through, I'm not going to ask her about your purpose in life. No, I'm not going to do that because she don't know. But she does know that she misses you and she loves you, and she remembered when she used to make you cookies when you were 3 years old and you had a red fire truck. She knows that, okay? Now, if you want to know more about your purpose in life, we're probably going to contact one of, like Robin said earlier, who's talking to his guides, your spirit guides. That is a true story. You do have people on the other side that are, kind of taking care of you. We call them guardian angels or spirit guides or whatever you want to call them. But we do have people assigned to us that help us out. So those are the people I'd be contacting and saying, hey, what is this person here to do? Like, what's going on? And then for me particularly, I use a combination of astrology and numerology to find out, like, your name meaning and your date of birth and, like, why you were created. Because I don't believe in anything happening happenstance in this universe at all. We all have a purpose. We all have a destiny. And we're all just naturally gifted. Some people just like being alone with their books in a library. They might be a better suited to be a librarian. And there's some people who love being on stage like Donnie and flashy and bold, right?
100%. But with all of this, it's the same thing with everything. Belief is 90% of the battle.
All the time.
If you believe this stuff will work, and I don't know whether it does or not, I'm still skeptical, but that's my prerogative, right? Yeah. But if you believe this stuff will work, it's going to work because your thoughts are stronger than anything else in the world. I talk about journaling. I love to journal. It took me years to figure out how to journal, but it came down to once I understood that I was trying to learn to journaling to prove it didn't work. I could never get journaling to work. Once I flipped my mind that I'm going to do it until it does, I learned to frickin' journal. It was a cool shift. Same thing with what you guys are doing.
Well, you just got to the cornerstone of Rob's work, because all of Rob's work at the healing frequency that he could talk more about is based off of the law of attraction. And what's your tagline?
Change your thoughts, change your mind. Perception equals reality.
I like it.
And the fear of loss is stronger than the fear of gain. And what I mean by this is what is familiar to you is stronger than what is unfamiliar. You might go through a door every day where you know that you're going to get beat because you know what the expectation is. When you go to the new door where you're not going to get beat every day, you're going to get angst and anxiety because there's no expectation. There's a lot of fear that comes in. So change your thoughts, change your mind. Perception equals reality.
Yeah, but easier said than done. Right? Change your thoughts is a tough thing. I mean, because we are a glutton for the same experience, right? Mm-hmm. We want to live that same thing over and over. I mean, I tell people all the time that they live to plateau, right? They want to get to that spot in life where everything's the same, right?
We as humans naturally strive to create equilibrium. Once we've created equilibrium, we will create disequilibrium to create equilibrium again.
Every time.
And this is a spiral that we're on. And when we actually start to go into our emotional intelligence and go into what actually is going on in our backstory that's making us zig when we want to zag, we're actually going to be able to even that playing field to know, okay, hey, some of my needs aren't being met right now or my core values are being tested, and so I'm going to want to make a huge jump. Well, maybe I should just stay here and be uncomfortable for a minute and then see what happens.
I love that because there is no one shoe fits everybody, no one size. Mm-hmm. So whether religion's your thing, whether,
spirituality.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you're into, hell, I don't care if it's weed. Whatever your thing is, make that your thing and go all in.
And what we just need to be as a community is just mindful of that. It's hard because there's so much fighting going on. Everybody wants everybody to do the thing the way they do it. And we really just need to respect the differences. And, hey, that may work for you, but we don't need to bash it or downplay it or talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, let's just all get along.
Well, weed's a great equalizer. I hate weed. I'm not a weed smoker by any means, but I've never seen a war started over two guys smoking a bowl. I'm just saying. You know? But, you know, at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. But people are so brainwashed in their upbringing, you know, that this is the way, this is the only thought process. I mean, I've got some friends that, God, are extremely near and dear to me, and we live on different sides of the world when it comes to beliefs.
Yeah.
And, you know, we avoid conversations because we're so extreme opposites when it comes to it. And in my mind, I was raised in a certain religious type household, and now I've formed my beliefs on that I'm not the church going guy. I'm okay with people do that. That's their thing, their prerogative. But I've learned to look at the bigger picture of things and say, okay, I want to taste this. I want to try this. I want to see a little bit of this out there. But I think I'm unique in that aspect. Because,
well, you know what? I would say you're the true Christian, because I'm guessing that you came from a Christian background. There was a period in my life when I was Christian, and when I left the church, because I used to be very big in the church, I had, you know, you have your church friends, and I had this one girl reach out to me, and she said, you know, you're sinning. God's gonna condemn you. And I said, here's what I want you to pay attention to. I was born, according to my last name, Beepat. I was born Hindu. Like, you can be born Jewish. I was born Hindu. Now, my father's family is Hindu, but my father himself is an atheist. He doesn't believe in anything. My mother is Muslim. And between these two crazy kids, they sent me to church. I got confirmed, baptized, everything as an Anglican, which is the closest to Catholicism that you can get once you start venturing out. So I grew up with all the religions. So I've always had that choice to decide what religious path I want to follow. And I looked at my friend and I said, you're Christian. Your parents are Christian. Your grandparents are Christian. Your whole community is Christian. You never had to make that choice. So if you never had to make that choice, you can't stand for something that you believe in when you've never had to question it.
yeah,
And I knew, Donnie, you would be what I would consider a true Christian, because Jesus hung out with the tax collectors, the prostitutes, the naysayers, the do-no-gooders, right?
Well, I'm not going to put any title on myself by any stretch of the imagination. What I will say is I've just always been more open to the conversation. I mean, one of my best friends in the world, he's been a pagan since I've known him. You know, and he's grown up in that world. And dude, we've gotten some conversations, and I tell people I got a friend who's a pagan, and you think you guys get a hard time, you know, with his story. But I don't care what it is. Everything is looking for some sort of beacon, you know, some sort of direction, some sort of guide, some sort of whatever. And if your guys' path gets people to a better spot in life, good on you.
A lot. We have helped so many people just find peace and joy in their life. We've had a lot of people like leave jobs and do the job they really are meant to do. We've had people, you know, understand their nature and why they are the way they are. Like Rob said, you know, help them zig when they're zagging and they want to zig. We have helped people with that, and we've seen lives change with what we do. And the one thing I just want to mention to everybody listening, the stuff that we do, the Reiki, the energy work, the access bars, none of this is religious. Okay, so anybody from any spiritual path, any background can practice what we do. It's energy healing. So it's more like yoga, meditation. It's like taking care of yourself. It's self-care, but it's not religious in nature.
And here's the problem with putting the self-care label on it is, you know, I've got another good friend that's a chiropractor, and I will tell you 100% chiropractic's voodoo. All right. I just don't believe in it. I think it's crazy. I keep challenging him that he's going to come on the podcast, and it's Dr. Tanner Rodriguez. Great dude. Love him to death. But I bust his chops all the time. I'm just not into it. Right. But they are in that same, I tell him he's a hippie all the time, that same hippie vibe of, you know, preventive maintenance. I'm like, I'm not a truck. I don't need preventive maintenance, right? You know, so I get it. So good on you guys. And, you know, well done on having thick skin as you go through your journey and deal with guys like me on a regular basis, you know, doing it. So where's all of this taking you guys? What's the next step on your journey? Where are you going with it all?
I'll speak for myself, and then Rob can speak for himself. I wrote a book. It's called The Awakened Life. It was published on Amazon, and now it's been picked up by Balboa Publishing, and it's now being republished. So by the time this interview comes out, it's out there on Amazon. That's the first step for me for people, because there's a lot of people who want help, but they don't want their identities to be known.
Right.
So one of the reasons I wrote that book is buy the book, and you get to hear a little bit of what I'm talking about, just a little bit more. And then you can find out for yourself whether this is something you want to get into or not. And I'm always open for a conversation. So if people because I offer a free half an hour complimentary consultation to anybody who calls me. And because, if they're not in Virginia, they can't see me and they're in other places, I give them suggestions what they can do. Because my goal, where this is going to, for me, is raising the consciousness of the planet. I just feel if we're really living in our essence and our consciousness, then we can all be better people. And not only to ourselves, but to each other. And we could really stop a lot of the nonsense that's going on right now, the violence, the killing, the suicides, all this stuff can be helped if we just are happy within ourselves.
I just had the song Shiny Happy People run through my head when you said
I love that song.
That's a great song.
That's literally my song. I love Beatles. That's my song. I'm British born. So what about you, Rob?
Well, Donnie, if you have me back on the show, let me go before her because I'm following her. But, really with me, I love the person to person. I love really, truly. One of the things that I love is when I have somebody on my table that has fibromyalgia and they sit up and they do this huge yawn and they take their arms and they spread them really wide and all of a sudden their eyes start to tear up. And I don't even know that they have fibromyalgia and they look at me and they say, I can't move like this. But I just did without pain.
Yeah.
That's why I'm in this. And I love that. I love working with people that actually have pain, whether it be physical, mental, or spiritual. Not really the whole maintenance kind of guy like your chiropractor. I want to deal, okay, you got some issues going on. Let's smooth it out the canvas. Let's really create who you want to be. And whether I'm up on stage talking to somebody, whether I'm traveling and teaching a class, or whether I'm doing coaching over the phone for somebody that's out in Hawaii, whatever it is, I put my heart and soul into it, and I really want to get people to where their heart and soul's back in their life, and they're happy.
You know what Rob's nickname is here out in these parts, right?
Big Pink Biker? No, I'm good. Go ahead.
We call him Jesus. I mean, he's a white guy with long hair. He wears the Jesus sandals, but he lays hands. I've never seen a healer like this. He lays hands, and within minutes, pain is gone from people. And, I'm amazed at him, but he really likes the challenges. He likes the people that are really suffering because he brings a lot of relief to a lot of people. So, yeah, I definitely would say if anybody's out this way, talk to Rob because pain management is his forte for sure.
That's awesome. Guys, I truly, truly appreciate having on the show and sharing with me and dealing with my smartassery all the way through this. How do people get in touch with you? Because I guarantee that there's going to be people that listen to the show that have always been curious. Hopefully this may take that curiosity to a more deeper level. But, how do they get in touch with you? How do they find your stuff? How do they raise their hand and say, I just want to know a little more?
All right. So I got 3 websites. That's the way. And I'm all over the place on social media. You type in my name, Alexandra Beepat. You'll find me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Follow me. I do lots of crazy stuff all day, every day. So just follow me if you're interested. But my website for the center, it's www.lotuswellnesscenter.net. For my personal website, it's www.umalotusflower.com. And for those of you that are in Virginia that are looking to create a career in massage therapy, it's www.lotussignaturemassagespools.com. And nice. Rob has...
I'll just keep it simple and sweet. I am thehealingfrequency.net, not .com, thehealingfrequency.net. And from there, you can jump out to my YouTube channel. You can jump over to my Instagram, wherever else you want to go. But it's thehealingfrequency.net. Name's Rob Pritchard. And on there, you'll find my phone number. You'll find my email.
Yeah.
And feel free to give me a call. Shoot me a text.
Yeah, we do. We both do free consultations by phone. And just, if we can't help you, we know who to refer you out to. Because we have so much knowledge in this field. And the one thing I will say is for Rob, thehealingfrequency.net, we do a lot of free things. because, you know, again, we're about this lifestyle. So if you go on our YouTube channels, Rob does free meditations. So especially for my veterans out there that don't like to help themselves, but like to be incognito, you can just go click on his YouTube channel, The Healing Frequency, and listen to a nice guided meditation by Rob and to help you with your, you know, your pain and your suffering. I do free daily readings, and Donnie, I welcome you to come listen to my free daily tarot readings.
Can you do it live so I can heckle?
Oh, yeah, I do those all the time. You know, go big or go home, Donnie.
Right. I love it. No, that's awesome, guys. Thank you so very much for sharing your stories with my listeners. I'm going to get responses on both sides of the table on this one, so it's going to be great. I love that. I'm a true believer that conflict creates content, so I love this kind of stuff. So thank you very, very much for coming on here, sharing your journey, sharing your story. Here's how I like to end every episode. And I catch some people on this, so I'm going to ask you both this question, but you're forewarned. If you were going to leave my audience with a phrase, a thought, a statement, something they could carry with them on their journey so they can pull out of their toolkit, especially when they get stacked up against it,
what
would be that phrase that you would say, hey, guys, when you're going through hell, use this?
So this is for people who really get bogged down by other people. You know how other people have a say in our lives or whatever else. I'd like you to say, your perception is not my reality.
Love it. What about you, Rob?
Oh, geez. Okay, I've got so many coin phrases that my clients keep throwing back at me, like, how's this working for you? You know,
That's it.
how's it working for you? But the fear of loss is stronger than the fear of gain.
That's a good one.
And what I really mean by this is what is familiar is stronger than what is unfamiliar. If you're feeling that you're actually uncomfortable, you're probably in uncharted waters. If you're feeling comfortable even though pain is around, you're probably wanting to stay there because you don't want to move out of it.
And growth never happens there.
So just find your center and keep moving.
Love it.
And Donna, we want to thank you. We want to thank you so much for what you're doing with your life. First of all, thank you for your service.
Oh, my honor.
The veteran and all. Like, I'm so amazed by you. I'm just coming to get to know you. And, you know, I already can tell you're touching a lot of people's lives, even unbeknownst to you. Please keep doing what you're doing. And we would love to kind of showcase you once you start putting this stuff out and building your audience. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, guys. It's been a fun, great conversation. I really appreciate you having you on.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You know what, guys? Really, thank you for listening to this episode. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun putting these together. I wanted to make sure before we get out of here that you knew what we were doing with social content. What we found was because of the podcast, we have a unique way of helping you get your social content out on a very easy way. What we're doing is we're interviewing people, and from that interview, we will capture a lot of information that will then be turned into videos, memes, articles, all things you can use for your social content. I know, like for me, one of the biggest struggles I had was, what do I put out there? What do I say on a regular basis? Well, we'll help do all that for you. So if this is at all of interest to you, reach out to us and let us help you grow your social media channel. I can tell you I did this for my business, and my social media is completely taking off. My Instagram, since I started doing this, jumped to over 10,000 followers, and it continues to grow. So if this is at all of interest to you, check the bottom of the show notes for the link that says, Get My Social Content Done right now.